What's going on, everybody? Sean Highkin here with you from Odds Checker. Just want to get you set up for this Friday night slate of NBA games. There's a lot of games on tonight, and there's a few plays that I like from this slate. First off, the Knicks and the Cavs. You can bet on Colin Sexton to hit 3 or more three-pointers. You can get that at plus 270 at FanDuel. I like this one because the Knicks, as much as they have one of the best defenses in the league, they let teams take a lot of three-pointers. They don't, teams don't really shoot a high percentage of them against them, but they take a lot of them, and Colin Sexton has been making a lot of them. And I like some of these, individual player stat props just because it's easier to predict those. First of all, you can get pretty good value on a lot of them, but it's easier to predict those than who's going to win one of these games between, especially two teams that are kind of evenly matched in that middle to lower to middle tier of the Eastern Conference playoff pictures, like that are pretty evenly matched, like these two teams, the Knicks and the Cavs are. So this seems like for the value for plus 270, I think that's a pretty good bet. Colin Sexton hitting 3 3-pointers. If you want to go up to 4 3-pointers, it gets up to plus 800. So if you want to get ambitious, you can do that. But I think 3 3-pointers at plus 270, I think is in that sweet spot of still getting plus value, but it being a little bit more of an attainable number. So I like that one. The Nets and the Thunder. There's an interesting bet that you can make on Bet America, where you can bet that at halftime, Oklahoma City is going to lead, but Brooklyn is going to end up winning the game, and that's plus 500. And this Thunder team, on paper, obviously they aren't, one of the better teams in the Western Conference, but they've been competitive lately. They beat Phoenix the other night. They beat Portland recently. They've been competitive. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's playing well. Darius Bazley has been playing. They've been competitive even with good teams. And so I think there's a chance, especially with how not great Brooklyn's defense is, I think there's a pretty good chance that Oklahoma City is going to get out to a hot start, and they're maybe going to be leading at halftime. But just offensively, the level of talent is just not close between those two teams. So I can't really bring myself to pick Oklahoma City to win this game. And so this bet of OKC leading at halftime and Brooklyn ended up winning and getting that at plus 500, I think that's a pretty good value play there. The Clippers and the Magic, this is one where the odds are kind of weird because the Magic are favored at minus 4.5, but the value on their money is plus 115. And then on the money line, it's the Clippers have the value on the money line, but it's just it's one of those ones where the team that's favored by the point spread, you actually get better value on picking that than you do on the team that's not favored. And so with the Clippers, they're shorthanded. They have a lot of guys kind of out in the especially with Paul George, with Kawhi Leonard. Those guys are still kind of in the health and safety protocols, and they just played Miami, so they're on this back-to-back on a road trip. And so I think just taking Orlando minus 4.5 at plus 115, at which you can get at that price at Fox, I think that's a good pick there. Especially with being on a back-to-back for the Clippers on this road trip. This is the kind of game where I think if Orlando gets up big early, Ty Lue might just decide we're just gonna punt this one, because they picked up this shorthanded road win against Miami, and so this road trip is already kind of a win for them either way. So I like the Orlando play there at the value that it's at. Bucks and the Pelicans. Brandon Ingram has had a couple of big games already, a couple of big 30-point games again in their last couple of games. You can get him to have 30 or more points on FanDuel at plus 350, and even against the Milwaukee defense, that's pretty good. Brandon Ingram has been a focal point of their offense. He's been getting his shots up. He's been putting up points. So Ingram 30 or more points at plus 350. There are bets you can make on Giannis getting 25 or 30 points in the plus 100s range in terms of value, which you can do that if you want. That's not a bad play either. But Ingram getting 30 points at plus 350, I think is, in terms of the amount of value that you could have there for something that has happened a lot recently, I think is something that you can take a swing on. That's not that big of a swing, but could be a big payoff. And then the last game of the night, the Mavs and the Jazz. Utah beat Dallas. This is going back to the whole these teams playing each other 2 games in a row, and teams not not being able to win both of the games in a row, even if one team is better. Obviously, the Jazz have won 10 in a row, and they won the last game without Donovan Mitchell. We still don't know if Donovan Mitchell is going to play, but the Mavs money line is plus 145. So I think, just with the possibility that Donovan Mitchell isn't going to play, he had the concussion, he missed the last game, we don't know if he's going to play, and the fact that Utah won the last game, I think that, you can pick Dallas to win this game pretty easily. I think that's, a good play there. So those are the picks that I like for tonight's slate. I'll be back with you guys on Monday.